The house was quiet, except for the soft swish of the broom as it brushed across the floor. Morning light filtered in through the curtains, painting stripes of gold across the furniture. The air smelled faintly of detergent and lemon polish, and every corner of the room seemed to carry the weight of my determination to put things in order. I was tired, though I wouldn't admit it aloud. It felt as though my days were a never-ending cycle of work, cleaning, laundry, and cooking. I didn't mind the rhythm, it gave me purpose, but sometimes I longed for something more than folded clothes and tidy shelves. Sometimes I longed for him. My husband had been working longer hours lately, coming home with his eyes heavy, his voice low, his thoughts scattered. We would share a meal, ask about each other's days, and then slip into the comfort of silence before heading to bed. It wasn't unhappiness, it was simply routine. But routine has a way of dulling even the brightest of colors if you let it. That morning, as I bent down to pick up a pair of shoes that had been left in the middle of the floor, I felt something shift in the air. A presence. A warmth that made me pause before I even turned around. And then, without warning, his arms came around me from behind. I froze for a moment, startled, then melted into the embrace. His hold was strong, secure, and achingly familiar. His chin brushed against my shoulder, his breath warm against my ear. "I missed you," he whispered, his voice low but certain. A smile tugged at my lips, though my eyes prickled with unexpected tears. "You saw me just this morning," I teased gently. He chuckled, the sound rumbling softly against my back. "That doesn't mean I didn't miss you." The broom slipped from my hand, clattering against the floor. For once, I didn't care about the dust, the dishes, or the laundry waiting in the basket. All that mattered was him, his arms around me, his heart beating steady against mine. We stayed like that for a long moment, the silence speaking louder than words. The sunlight shifted across the room, landing on the picture frames that lined the shelf, our wedding photo, our first vacation, candid moments frozen in time. "I feel like I haven't really seen you in weeks," I murmured. "I know," he admitted, his voice tinged with regret. "Work has been too much. But that's no excuse. I should have made more time for us." I shook my head, leaning back against him. "You don't have to apologize. I know you're doing it for us." He sighed, pressing his forehead lightly against my temple. "Still, I don't want us to forget what it feels like to just be together. Not as workers, not as problem solvers, just us." Those words sank into me, warm and heavy, reminding me of all the little things I had missed. The quiet laughter we used to share at night. The way he would tell me stories just to hear me laugh. The way we once sat on the porch, holding hands without speaking, and yet it had felt like the loudest kind of love. Later that day, we decided, without saying it aloud, that the chores could wait. The laundry basket remained full, the dishes piled in the sink. Instead, we brewed tea together in the kitchen. He insisted on adding sugar, though he always managed to spill half of it across the counter, and I teased him for his clumsiness. We sat at the table, steam rising from our mugs, hands brushing accidentally, then deliberately. The silence was no longer heavy, it was comfortable. "Remember the first time we met?" I asked, smiling at the memory. He laughed, shaking his head. "How could I forget? You were scolding a shopkeeper because he tried to shortchange you. And you thought I was overreacting." "I thought you were fiery," he corrected, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "And I liked it immediately." I laughed, the sound filling the kitchen. "You didn't even say anything to me then." "I didn't need to. I knew I'd find a way to see you again." The memory wrapped around us like a familiar blanket. It felt good to revisit the past, to remind ourselves of how it all began. As the day went on, we found ourselves rediscovering each other. We cooked lunch together, bumping into one another in the small kitchen, laughing when we nearly dropped the frying pan. He reached over to taste the sauce I was stirring, pretending to be a food critic, exaggerating his expressions until I couldn't stop laughing. In the afternoon, we took a walk outside. The air was cool, carrying the faint scent of blooming flowers from a neighbor's garden. We walked slowly, hand in hand, talking about nothing and everything. We spoke of dreams we hadn't shared in a while, of plans for the future, of little things we wanted to do together. At one point, he stopped and pulled me close again, right there on the quiet street. "Do you know what I realized today?" he asked. "What?" "That I don't need grand gestures to feel lucky. I just need this. You. Us. Ordinary days made extraordinary because you're in them. My throat tightened, emotions swelling in my chest. That's exactly how I feel. By evening, the house was still messy. Dust clung to the shelves. Dishes still waited in the sink. But our hearts felt lighter, cleaner, as if we had polished something far more important than the floors. That night, as we lay in bed, I turned to face him. The moonlight traced his features, softening the lines of exhaustion. I reached for his hand, lacing my fingers through his. Promise me something, I whispered. Anything. No matter how busy we get, no matter how many chores pile up or how many deadlines chase you, we won't forget this. We won't forget us. He squeezed my hand gently, his eyes steady on mine. I promise. And when you forget, I'll remind you. My heart swelled, and for the first time in a long while I felt whole. The next morning, I returned to cleaning. The broom moved rhythmically across the floor, but my heart was lighter. Because I knew that at any moment, he might come up behind me, wrap his arms around me, and remind me once more that love doesn't vanish in the noise of life. It simply waits, quietly, patiently, until we choose to notice it again. And from that day forward, I promised myself I would always notice.